Hi everyone, this is a read aloud for U.S. History Assignment 2 called Labor Battles in the Gilded Age. So your instructions are to read the article about workers or laborers who fought for better working rights, and then to answer the guiding questions in the right column in your own words. If you would prefer to use a video to help you answer the guiding questions, you can click on the link here to watch a video about the same event and use that video to help you answer the questions on the side. But let's start. We're going to skip the summary. You can read that on your own if you want. We're just going to start with the article here. I will pause to read the questions as we get to that section. Gilded Age Capitalism and the Rise of Unions. By the late 1800s, the United States industries and economy was growing faster than that of any other country in the world. At the center of the nation's economic success was a dynamic and expansive industrial capitalism, or U.S. economic system. One effect of this was mass immigration. From 1865 to 1918, 27.5 million immigrants poured into the United States, many aspiring to the opportunities given to them by the Industrial Revolution. In the next section, the first question you're going to answer is, what strategies did workers use to try and fight for better working conditions? And you can answer it right over here in the right-hand column. So starting back over here. By the late 1800s was a time when industrial capitalism, U.S. economic system, was new, raw, and sometimes brutal. Between 1881 and 1900, 35,000 workers per year lost their lives in industrial and other accidents at work, and strikes, when workers refused to work until working conditions improve, were commonplace. No fewer than 100,000 workers went on strike each year. In 1892, for example, 1,298 strikes involving some 164,000 workers took place across the nation. Unions, groups of workers who joined together to protect their wages, hours of labor, and working conditions, were on the rise. So use that to again answer the question up here on the right. Next section. Strikes and strike breaking, the Homestead Strike. The next question you're going to answer is over here on the right. Why did Frick lock out members of the Steel Workers Union from the steel mill? So starting over here, on June 29, 1892, Henry Clay Frick, see photo, the manager of the Homestead Steel Works outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, locked the members of the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers, or AA, the Steel Workers Union, out of the Homestead Steel Works. Frick was motivated by a desire to break the union of skilled steel workers who for years had protected the working conditions and wages of steel mill workers that prevented the steel from making more money. In response, the next day, AA members struck the plant. In the first days of the strike, Frick decided to bring in a group of strike breakers, people hired to end a strike. To get inside the steelworks, the replacement workers would have the daunting task of making their way past picketing strikers who had surrounded the steelworks. But Frick hadn't hired any old strike breakers. He decided to hire men from the Pinkerton Detective Agency, who were technically dubbed detectives, but who were actually armed or gun-carrying men seeking to push past striking workers and forcibly reopen the steelworks. And then the next question you have to answer is over here. What was the outcome of the first part of the strike? Who won and how? On July 6, gunfire broke out between striking workers and some of the 300 Pinkerton detectives that Frick had hired. The Pinkerton agents were being towed in on boats toward the side of the steel mill that bordered the Monongahela River. The Pinkerton agents were then trapped in the boats by gunfire from the striking workers. By the next afternoon, with several having been killed on both sides, the Pinkertons raised a white flag of surrender. So use that to answer the second question. Last section. The question you're answering at the end is over here. Based on the final outcome of the strike, was the strike successful? Why or why not? And remember, it's the workers who started the strike. So were the workers successful? Why or why not? 5 days later, however, 6,000 state militiamen, or members of the state army, who had been dispatched by the governor of Pennsylvania, marched into town, surrounded the steelworks, and arrested hundreds of steel mill workers. The state government had sided with the owners. They soon reopened Homestead Steelworks, giving workers longer hours and lower wages. The Union had been defeated. So use that to answer the question over here. And then at the bottom, when you're done, the final question you're going to answer in your own words is, what role do you think the government should play in fights between labor, or workers, and management? Why? AKA, or in other words, should the government support workers or management, or should the government stay out of it? Why? And you can write your answer